Sobrang di ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta. At sana patuloy yung suporta niyo sa
Spent 4 weeks basically demanding that Parliament be recalled and that we legislate straight away. And we do the work, we put the legislation.
Kamusta mga kapang Pinoy? Surprise! Excited na akong imbitahin kayong lahat na manood sa
4 relentless weeks were spent demanding action, pushing for Parliament to be recalled, insisting that legislation be passed immediately and that real work be done without delay. The bills were placed, expectations were set, emotions were high. Shock followed. Excitement exploded. And then came the moment no one was prepared for. A Prime Minister in tears. The Alex Eala Australian Open bombshell that has stunned the globe. What on earth is happening down under? Seriously, are you witnessing this in real time? Because the Australian Open has never ignited quite like this. Moments ago, Rod Laver Arena didn't just host a tennis match, it became the stage for an emotional implosion that sent shockwaves across continents. A sitting national leader, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, openly crying in front of thousands of spectators, cameras rolling, the world watching. This is not normal. This is not routine. Leaders do not unravel publicly, especially not because of the words of a 20-year-old tennis phenomenon. But that is precisely what unfolded. Witnesses describe Albanese, seated courtside, struck by a message so direct, so piercing, so deeply personal, delivered by the Philippines' own Alexandra Eala, that it visibly shook him. The exact words remain guarded, but their impact was unmistakable. For several agonizing seconds, the stadium froze. Total silence. The kind of silence that presses against your chest, that makes breathing feel heavy. Then everything detonated. Applause didn't rise, it erupted. A tidal wave of sound crashed through the arena, dissolving the tension but leaving tears in its wake. Faces throughout the stands were etched with raw emotion. This wasn't rehearsed. This wasn't staged. This was real. And it marked the opening act of what is shaping up to be the most dramatic Australian Open of Alexandra Eala's young career. But if you think the story ends with a Prime Minister crying, you're mistaken. That was only the beginning. Because the true danger, the real heartbreak, may come from what tournament officials have just placed directly in Eala's path. We need to talk about the draw of nightmares. We need to talk about an unforgiving road. And we need to confront the impossible decision looming ahead, one that could force Eala to choose between Grand Slam destiny and the historic homecoming she has dreamed about for years. Welcome back to Champions Tennis. If you live for drama, passion, and unfiltered truth from the tennis world, hit that like button now. Let's dive in. Strip away the emotion and look at reality. Alexandra Eala has landed in Melbourne carrying a career-high world ranking of 49. She's fresh off a semi-final run in Auckland. Confidence is high. Momentum is real. But when the draw was revealed, the tennis gods didn't smile, they laughed. Eala has been handed what insiders are openly calling a nightmare scenario. There is no gentle entry. No easing into the tournament. Her very first main draw appearance at the Australian Open comes against one of the most volatile and dangerous unseeded players on tour, America's Alicia Parks. Ignore the ranking of 100 at your own risk. Parks is pure dynamite. She shares the record for the fastest serve in US Open history, a blistering 129 miles per hour. That isn't a serve, it's a missile. When Parks locks in, she strikes with pace that strips control from her opponent's hands. She owns a WTA title, has beaten Caroline Garcia indoors, and has already reached the third round here before. She knows Melbourne. For Eala, this matchup is a stylistic minefield. Eala thrives on left-handed spin, resilience, point construction, and tactical patience. Parks lives on brute force. Leave the ball short and it's over. Let the serve sit up and it's gone. This is a trap match of the highest order. Whispers are growing louder that this could be the upset alert of round one. Analysts believe Parks has the firepower to overwhelm the 20-year-old if nerves creep in. And nerves will exist. This is her debut. A Prime Minister just cried in the stands. The world is watching. Can Eala withstand an American power hitter with nothing to lose? The pressure is suffocating. Analysts from Melbourne to Manila are tearing this matchup apart, calling it one of the most dangerous first-round pairings in the entire women's draw. That's how serious this is. But let's imagine the best-case scenario. Let's say Eala plays flawlessly, absorbs the serve, extends rallies, and advances. Does the road clear? Not even close. Likely waiting in round 2 is Karolina Muchova, the Czech tactician who reached the Roland Garros final in 2023. When healthy, Muchova is among the most gifted players on tour, once ranked inside the world's top 8. She doesn't just hit balls, she dismantles rhythm. Slices, drop shots, net rushes, constant disruption. If Parks is a hammer, Muchova is a scalpel. Eala would need to reinvent her entire strategy within 48 hours. And if somehow she survives that, looming deeper is a potential collision with her former doubles partner, American superstar Coco Gauff. Picture it. Eala versus Gauff under the lights at Rod Laver Arena. Friends turned foes. Grit versus elite athleticism. But Gauff isn't just familiar, she's a Grand Slam champion, a defensive wall who forces you to hit 5 extra shots every point. And in the same half of the draw stands Aryna Sabalenka, the defending champion, the woman whose ground strokes sound like gunfire. This isn't a draw. It's a gauntlet. A corridor of predators waiting for weakness. 3 major champions potentially block Eala's path. Tournament officials essentially looked at the 20-year-old Filipina and said welcome to the big leagues. Albanese is known as an empathetic leader, one who wears his heart openly, but even for him this moment was extraordinary. The footage has gone viral, millions of views, endless speculation. Fans analyze every frame, every expression. Some praise Eala for speaking truth with courage. Others debate whether such emotion belonged on such a public stage. But one fact is undeniable. Alexandra Eala has moved beyond tennis. She is now a cultural force. A voice. And win or lose, that voice will echo. The Philippine government issued praise almost immediately. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. called her a national treasure, expressing pride regardless of results. The Philippine Tennis Federation echoed that support, emphasizing that her achievements already transcend outcomes. That level of backing can crush or elevate. For Eala, it appears to lift. She has embraced her role, her responsibility, her purpose. She is playing for more than herself. And then there's the unavoidable dilemma. The scheduling conflict. The impossible choice. If Eala makes a deep run in Melbourne, the Philippine Women's Open proceeds without its centerpiece. Organizers have backup plans, but the truth is unavoidable. The event was built around her. Posters, promotions, sponsorships. Without her presence, something is lost. It's unfair to organizers, to players, to fans who bought tickets just to see her. Critics question why the calendar wasn't adjusted, why coordination failed. But the tennis schedule has always been chaotic. Players are constantly torn between obligations, rankings, and loyalty. Eala is simply the latest caught in the storm. Now all that remains is waiting. Does she exit early and return home? Or does she shock the world and sacrifice her homecoming? Either path carries emotion. Betting markets are fluctuating wildly. Odds initially favored balance but have shifted toward Parks as power narratives grow. Still, smart money creeps toward Eala. Why? Because she's proven she can handle pressure. She's won junior Grand Slams. She's battled through international competition. Champions adapt. Parks is explosive, streaky, unpredictable. That volatility can destroy or self-destruct. Eala's path is patience, intelligence, endurance. Drag the rallies. Force extra shots. Wait for cracks. And then there's the crowd. Melbourne's Filipino community will show up. Their voices will matter. Tennis may be individual, but energy is collective. Support lifts legs, sharpens focus, and rattles opponents. Rod Laver Arena may feel like Manila. That psychological edge won't appear on a stat sheet, but it matters. So here we are. A prime minister in tears. A prodigy facing a horror film draw. A homecoming hanging by a thread. This isn't just tennis. It's theater. Will Parks blast serves past her? Will Eala channel emotion into history? Or will she return home and lift silver before her people? The next 48 hours decide everything. The Australian Open has barely begun and already it's overflowing with drama. One thing is certain. You don't want to miss this. The tension is real. The stakes are massive. And Alex Eala stands at the center of it all. The calm inside the storm. Rise or fall, this journey will be unforgettable. This is why we watch. This is why we care. Because this isn't just sport. It's human drama at its purest. What do you think? Is the draw unfair, or is this the crucible that creates champions? And that moment with the Prime Minister, was it too much or exactly what sports needs? Drop your thoughts below. I read every comment. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, share with fellow tennis fans, and subscribe to Champions Tennis. We're covering every serve, every volley, and every tier. Until next time, keep your eyes on the ball and your passion burning. Surprise. Excitement. Overachieving is real. Dream big. Hi everyone, it's Carolina here. I'm grateful to be back in the semifinals in New York, and I'm looking forward to what comes next.